I've noticed that every time I try to release weight / lose weight, as people think, every time I've tried to do this in the past, it meant I had to give up carbohydrates forever, or I had to be very extreme. And it meant that I had constant FOMO. So weight loss equals restriction and punishment and lots of pain and lots of suffering and lots of discomfort. So what I've learned is every time I've tried to release weight, it hurts, it's painful, it's uncomfortable, and it's not sustainable. And so I put the weight back on. Welcome back, friends. I'm your host, Sherry Shaban, and with each episode, I am honored to be your coaching guide in the journey to make peace with food, fall in love with fitness, and ultimately yourself. My intention in each episode is to help you release the old story of who you are and step into the one you're always meant to be. Do you ever feel like you're getting in your own way? No matter how badly you want to make changes in your life, you're always finding an excuse, a reason, or something huge blows up in your life, and all of a sudden, you find yourself self-sabotaging in some way. Today, we're getting real about the mindset traps that keep us stuck, like negative self-talk, old habits, and that pressure to fix ourselves overnight. We're talking about what it really takes to create lasting change, especially when it comes to weight, self-worth, and your mental well-being. This episode is going to be super interactive, so please grab a journal or just listen in and reflect. I'm going to guide you through how to spot those sneaky beliefs that are holding you back and what to do instead of just repeating affirmations that don't really land anyway. We're also going to chat about how slow progress is actually the best kind and how to stop chasing those fast results that our culture is so obsessed with. If you feel like you've been behind or not doing enough lately, this conversation is going to feel like a deep exhale. Now, some of the topics we're going to be covering today is number one, overcoming scarcity mindset and negative talk, challenging beliefs and embracing self-love for personal growth, and the illusion of quick fixes in weight loss culture and how they're actually harming us. If you've ever felt like food has power over you, I hope this conversation brings you comfort and inspiration. And you're not alone, and healing is possible. If you've ever felt like you're doing everything right, you're eating well, you're exercising, you're pushing yourself, but your body just won't release body fat, there's a reason. Your nervous system is either in protection mode, which is known as fight or flight, or safety mode, which is also known as rest and digest. And fat release can only happen when you are in safety mode. But if your body feels unsafe, it clings on to fat. It slows down your metabolism, and it even triggers binge eating and self-sabotage. Think about it. You go through stress, and suddenly you're reaching for food you swore you wouldn't ever touch. And you're not weak by doing this. It's biology. When your body is in this survival mode, it's wired to conserve energy and seek quick fuel. That's why unwanted eating behaviors feel so out of control sometimes. And here's the best part. Fat loss isn't just about burning more calories. It's about making your body feel safe enough to let go. So the real question is, are you pushing your body into protection mode without even knowing it? Because if you are, no amount of dieting or exercise is ever going to override that body's natural survival mode. So it's time to stop fighting your body and start working with it. And if you're ready to break free from emotional and binge eating and any other unwanted eating behaviors such as nighttime snacking or compulsive overeating or mindless eating, I want to invite you to download my free ebook, Calm the Cravings, 7 Steps to Break the Emotional and Binge Eating Battle. In this guide, you're going to learn how to regulate your nervous system to eliminate all your cravings, make peace with food, and then watch the weight naturally release itself. You can grab your free copy at sherryshaban.com/calm. sherryshaban.com/calm, CALM. All right, Now let's get into it. Hi, we're back. Oh my goodness. Who's been here every single day? Who's been here every single day? Oh, yes, you have, Susan. That's right. That's right. So good. So, as we invite more people to join us today, oh, Melody, we get to see you today. That's awesome. So, as we wait for some more people to roll in, let me start off by asking you, do you have any questions? Do you have any questions? Any questions so far about anything that's come up in the last week or even something more specific to you? Hi, Susan. Welcome. So, as you're jumping in here, whether you are live on Facebook, where I'm following also, or you're here with me today in the Zoom, do you have any specific questions about anything that you've learned? And a common question that I usually get from people is, okay, this all makes sense. I get the logic. It's so clear. It's so obvious. Now, how do I do it? How do I do that? How do I do that? How do I get myself to feel safe? How do I do that? How do I stop the negative self-talk? How do I stop the negative self-talk? So I clearly have some answers. And before I get into my answers, again, I'm going to quiz you guys. What do you think? So what's your next step from here? Now that you know this is going on, now that you know that this scarcity mindset is what's resulting in that hoarding effect that the body has, that scarcity mindset is the reason why we know what to do, but we don't do the things we know to do. Or when we do them, it's just for a short amount of time, and then all of a sudden we derail in some way, or a life event happens, and then we find ourselves regressing or going back to our old ways. So I'm going to just leave it open here and share with me if you're following on Facebook. Susan says, that's exactly right. Yeah, yeah. That's exactly the conversation, Susan. This is the conversation we've been having all week. The conversation that we've been having all week is we know what to do, but why is it that we can't stop the negative self-talk? Why is it that it's so challenging to have kindness and compassion and grace and love and patience for ourselves? Why is it that we don't give ourselves the best advice when we are up against a roadblock? Why is it that when we start something, I mean, we get in the flow of it, it gets so exciting, we're super motivated, we shop and prepare for it, we tell Facebook all about it so that everybody knows, and then all of a sudden something happens and then we stop. Like, why is that? And more importantly, now that you know what you know, because everything I've taught you this week, you can't now unlearn. You'll never forget this information now about how the nervous system, when it's in fight or flight or it's in protection mode, it is in a hoarding mode. When you are in a scarcity mindset, when you are in a not enoughness mindset, whether that is not enough time, not enough resources, not enough money, not enough self-love, not good enough, not smart enough, not pretty enough, not fit enough, not thin enough, not losing weight fast enough, not as fit as I used to be in my 20s, not enough, not enough, not enough, not as young. When you're in that scarcity slash lack mindset, we know that that's what triggers protection mode. I've shared with you all week that every single thought that you have is going to result in either safety mode or protection mode. Every single thought, you're either going into protection mode or safety mode. So you know the things. Now I'm curious, what are you going to do next? Like, what are you going to do with this information next? So Elisa says, I was able to implement what I've learned last night and didn't gorge myself at the church party we went to. That's amazing. All right, Elisa. And I'm curious, what was the frame of mind? What was the internal dialogue? What was the internal dialogue? Elisa also says we have such a hard time because we don't think we're able to make the change that we want. Yeah, right. And remember, Elisa, this comes down to those unconscious beliefs. These comes down to unconscious beliefs. The reason we struggle, the reason we are successful, the reason we stay stuck and we stay exactly where we are is a reflection of our self-beliefs, our unconscious beliefs. And now so many people have said this quote. I don't know who really said this quote. Let's go with Churchill because they say that Churchill said this quote. And Ford also apparently said this quote. But whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. Right? And that's so powerful. That's so powerful. And why that's so powerful is because we arrive to conclusions in our lives based on past experiences. So this means that if my weight loss journey has always been a struggle and my weight loss journey has always looked like I have to starve myself, I have to exercise like crazy, all of that feels like a major punishment. And when I do get results, what I realize is that, wow, I have to restrict like forever if I want to stay the way that I am. And also, I've never learned how to cope with my emotional eating and regulate certain emotions. So basically, I've noticed that every time I try to release weight slash lose weight, as people think and use that type of language, every time I've tried to do this in the past, it meant I had to give up carbohydrates forever, or I had to be very extreme, or I had to really be in a caloric deficit. And I felt hungry and tired and lethargic most of the time. And it meant that I had constant FOMO, constant fear of missing out and feeling of missing out every time there was a birthday party or there was something. And it always made me feel like, why am I the only person always dieting? Everyone else gets to eat whatever they want, but I always have to diet. I always have to watch myself. I always have to watch my weight. I always have to watch my food. So weight loss equals restriction and punishment and lots of pain and lots of suffering and lots of discomfort. And then it's impossible to maintain. And I always see myself putting the weight back on. So what I've learned is every time I've tried to release weight, it hurts, it's painful, it's uncomfortable, and it's not sustainable. And so I put the weight back on. And so my unconscious belief is I can never do that. I can never release weight because I don't have what it takes. And to be quite honest, I don't have what it takes either. If you give me that picture of health, I don't have what it takes either. No way. I love food way too much. And during the summers, we're going to start this up again with my kids. Like we bake pizza from scratch, like every Friday. That's our thing. That's our thing. They're off for the summer. They have more time. It's like a 2-hour process. We make dough. We have all the ingredients. This is like a family tradition. And I love pizza way too much to say that I'm never going to eat it so that I can be at my ideal health or weight or fitness or size, etc., etc., etc. Right? So I'm going to pause here a moment, wanting to hear more of your reflections around that. And let me read the comments too. Melody, I have never learned the art of being kind to ourselves, just everybody else. Yeah, of course, of course. And thank you for bringing this up because we are taught to sacrifice. Like we are taught, and again, this is another belief, this is another unconscious belief. We are taught that love equals sacrifice. And we're also taught that if you think of yourself first, then you're selfish. And therefore, that brings up emotions of guilt. And this is what we spoke about yesterday. How do we overcome a belief? Like, how do we overcome a belief? I think Susan shared yesterday, she had a beautiful share. A lot of what she said had so much merit because this is how many of us think, right? What she shared, if you weren't here yesterday, was, well, it's normal living in Canada that in winter you tend to, let's say, move less, you don't go outside, you tend to just hoard on to more weight. And when spring comes, spring is a time of shedding and so on and so forth. And there's a lot of merit to what she said because what she said, 9 out of 10 people who live in Canada believe, right? If we were to follow the flow of nature, though, the flow of nature says, yes, it's true. There are times of the year, let's say we were to eat from the ground, we were to eat from nature, and we were to follow the seasons. There would be times of the year where, yes, it would be a good idea to store food because there's a famine coming. And you know when that is? That's actually in the fall. That's actually in the fall. Bears and other animals who hibernate throughout winter, they actually gorge in the fall. They eat fruit, they eat tons of food, and they put on weight purposely, stored energy, so that they can get through winter. And through winter, they release weight. That's when they use their energy. So by spring, they're actually emaciated, they're hungry, right? It's not actually the fact is not so that during winter, we should move less and we should be putting on stored energy. No, if we were actually to follow the flow of nature, then we would actually in the fall, that's the time of harvest, right? That's where fruits start to give and tomatoes. And if you grow a vegetable garden, you know that that's the time of food. And that's a time where you'd start to store for winter, whether that's eating or you have a cold room or you're storing your potatoes or your grains and getting yourself through winter. And so that was so important to bring up yesterday because it shows us how we can have this belief. And then because we have this belief, what we've also said is, well, that's the way it is. So I can't change anything. I have no power to change it because it is what it is. And if ever we want to uncover any belief, I shared this yesterday, and this is huge. This is huge in regulating your nervous system. Because remember that your nervous system stores information. Your nervous system stores information, unconscious information, so that you don't have to think about it. It takes so much energy to think and to focus, right? I shared with you the analogy last week. My daughter's learning to drive. And it's so cute to watch her because she's concentrating. She's like where her hands go in the mirror and everything and the turn signals and the blind spot. Like, and we don't do that, right? We get in the car and we're like on the phone and putting on our lip gloss and like, right? Well, maybe just me then. But this is what happens when we learn something. We don't need to apply any more energy. And so now the nervous system knows. And it just does it. It's like that expression, it's like riding a bike. Even if you haven't ridden a bike in 10 years and you jump on a bike, it's like your body knows. Yeah, because that's all stored information. And that comes from your beliefs. And so if you want to break through any belief, number one, you have to ask yourself, is this a fact or is this a belief? What's the difference between a fact and a belief? Right? A fact is something that is standardized for everybody. Right? A fact is something that's standardized for everybody. Whereas a belief is an opinion, it's a thought that's an opinion that's charged with an emotion. And so that's the first thing, is like, is this fact or is this a belief? Mom always said I have a slow metabolism. Is this a fact or is this a belief? Because if I think it's a fact, what I'm also saying is I can't do anything about it, right? And that's the thing is we have to shift into, no, wait a minute, this is a belief. This is a belief. And the moment we acknowledge that it's a belief, we now have to look at, okay, let's explore this belief. I'm an adult right now. I've had this belief for 30 or 40 years. Where did it come from? Like, who told me this? Who said it? Who said it? Who told me this? And second of all, what were the circumstances? Like, why was this said to me? Why was this said to me? Did it come from culture? Did it come from religion even? Did it come from the time? Maybe it was post Second World War II, right? Post-war, maybe there was famine, maybe there was struggle, maybe there was reasons why people would have said things and had certain beliefs about how life was challenging or how you had to work really hard to do something and to achieve something. So what were the circumstances? And then finally, where have I seen this contradicted? Where have I seen the opposite of this elsewhere? Like, where have I seen that the contrary is actually also true? So if I heard that after kids, your body never goes back. After kids, that's it, your body's destroyed. And I heard this, by the way. These are beliefs that I heard growing up. And when I was having kids and when I was pregnant, I heard this from women around me. I mean, what does that even feel like when you're pregnant and then someone comes up to you and says, oh, you'll see after you give birth, your body never goes back. It's like, well, thank you so much because I asked for that. Like, thank you for your opinion. This makes me feel so good right now. And I just didn't believe it. Like, no. Why didn't I believe it? Because I knew so many moms who were running marathons and who were in amazing shape. And so, no, I didn't believe that. And so you see, both exist. And it depends on whether you are spending time in a group of people that support that or not. Let's see what else we have here in the chat. Susan, start by changing the negative bashing. Also change weight loss to weight release. Yeah, that's awesome, Susan. That's awesome. Yeah, that's so powerful. Weight release. And weight release also, like, if we can start to look at weight as not just the number on the scale, but weight is like, oh, that burden, that weight that I feel at the end of the day, right? What would happen if I focus on releasing that weight, right? If I notice when I come back from work, I feel heavy. That's the weight that I want to work on releasing. Or after spending time with certain family members. Woof. Melody's smiling. Yeah, we know. That's right. Man, I feel like I've put on 800 pounds after spending time with certain people. It's just heavy. Right? That's the weight we want to release. And again, moving away from the scale, moving away from the scale, moving also away from all these apps or these devices or meal plans that tell you what you should and should not be eating. And actually tuning into what your body needs, because that looks very different every day. That's powerful, Susan. Good job. Susan Gregory, we need to be the one in control. Remember that we can take control because we want to do it and stay out of the low self-esteem, low self-love mode. Yeah. Yeah. And I love this word, that control, right? If I'm always the victim, if it's always somebody else's fault, if it's always outside conditions that things are like this. Ever since this thing happened in my life, I'm now like this. Ever since that person said this or did that, I'm now like this, and this has happened to me. Ever since I got this illness, or ever since COVID, this happened. And again, that's our choice. That's our choice. And it's exactly what Susan said. We say the word choice because choice means control. It's my choice. Yes, there's going to be effort, and yes, there's going to be energy, and yes, there's going to be work. But I'll tell you, the biggest part of that work is the self-love. It's the self-confidence. It's overcoming fear. It's being brave. That's the greatest part of the work. And then Susan said, also pay attention to the internal dialogue. Yeah, pay attention to the internal dialogue. And so how does that now translate to our body? How does that now translate to our health? How does that translate to our health? And put a one in the chat if you think that some of the things that you shared here, overcoming low self-esteem, stepping into self-love, stopping the negative self-talk, if all of that is going to be something that you can master in one day. Melody, when you are positive thinking, everything falls into place much better. Yeah, 100%. And so how do we get into positive thinking? Because we know this, like I'm reading in the chat and you guys are so smart. Like it's so clear you've been here all week. It's so clear you get this. And now I'm going to challenge you to the how. Okay, cool. You know about the positive self-talk. You know about having more self-esteem and self-confidence and self-love. Now what? Now what? Because you know that. You know that. So why isn't it as achievable as we think? Why is it a lot more effort than we think? Why is it so hard for me to be nice to myself? Why is that? Susan Gregory says, when you feel lighter, you feel better, clothes fit better, blood work will reflect the changes. Yeah, that's true. I love that. Yeah. More aware, and Susan also says, be more aware of your body, reinforce, use sticky notes for affirmations. Yeah, use sticky notes for affirmations. I'm curious who uses affirmations. Put a one in the chat if you use affirmations. Susan uses affirmations. Melody uses affirmations. And now put a one in the put a comment rather in the chat. What is an affirmation? For anyone who's listening. Susan Pelletier uses gratitude. Yeah, so what is an affirmation? What is an affirmation? Susan Gregory, affirmations are all positive, uplifting sayings. Melody, uplifting thoughts. Elisa says, telling ourselves something good. Ooh, I love all these responses. And like my biomechanics teacher said, totally wrong. Yeah, an affirmation is actually anything that we say to affirm who we are. We think affirmations are positive, but guess what? We've got affirmations going on all day long. I'm such an idiot. I'm so forgetful. Ah, I'm such a dum-dum. Ah, I'm so lazy. That's an affirmation too. That's an affirmation too. An affirmation is anything that you say to describe yourself. Anything that you say to describe yourself. It is what you say to affirm your identity. Right? And that's what's so here we are, like, I'm gonna do my morning affirmation. I am grateful, I am beautiful, I am wonderful, I am light, I am one with God, and I have all these affirmations, and that lasts 5 minutes in the morning, and then the rest of the day, you idiot, you dum dum, why'd you do that, you're such a this, you're such a, well, guess what, those are also affirmations. Right? And I'm such a spiritual person. I got a morning practice. I do my 5 minute affirmations in the morning. No, you do your affirmations all day long. You just are intentional about the ones you're saying in the morning. And I bet you don't even believe 90% of them when you say them. You're saying all these things to yourself, but you don't even believe them. I am abundant. No, you're not. I am healthy. Yeah, right. I am so beautiful. Ha 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 ha. Right? Isn't there that always that voice in your head, like that annoying voice in the back that's like, yeah, right. Well, yeah, because I just said an affirmation is something you say to affirm yourself, affirm your qualities, affirm your identity. And so if 90% of my day I'm berating and I'm lots of negative self-talk and I'm putting myself down, that's what my mind actually believes to be true. It's not those 5 minutes in the morning where I said I was beautiful and amazing, because I said I was beautiful and I was amazing in the morning when I was doing my morning affirmations. But then the rest of the day, every time I passed my reflection in the mirror or on a window, I was like, oh, gross. Oh my God. Ugh, ugh. I don't want to look. So if I did that the rest of the day, how does my mind believe what I said in the morning was true? It was just for like 3 or 5% of the total thoughts that I had throughout the day that were positive. But this is why affirmations don't actually work. And I'm in the health and fitness space, and I'm in the personal development space, and I lead personal development retreats. I've got one coming up in Costa Rica in less than 2 months. And I'll tell you that affirmations don't work exactly because of that. Because it's exactly what everybody answered, which is everyone thinks an affirmation is something positive that you say about yourself. No, it's not. No, it's whatever you say to describe yourself. That's your affirmation. If I say I can never lose weight, that's an affirmation. If I say I'm always going to struggle with weight, that's an affirmation. If I say I'm addicted to sugar, affirmation. I'm addicted to food, done. It's like everything you say, it's like your wish is my command. Yep. Your wish is my command. Your wish is my command. Your wish is my command. And so I said I am beautiful once this morning, and then I said I'm gross, I'm disgusting, I'm this, I'm FAT 7,000 times the rest of the day. That's a huge imbalance. Susan says, no negative affirmations allowed. Yeah, and that's the thing is can we actually stop them? Right? Can we actually stop the negative affirmations? And I'll tell you, maybe not the first one. Maybe not the first one, because our brain is always in a negative bias. Our mind is always in a negative bias. So you may miss the first one. But if you have awareness and you're watching your thoughts, just the way you sit intentionally in the morning to say your morning affirmations or to write them down, if you're intentional about your thoughts, and that's what they call mindfulness. If you're mindful throughout the day, you're mindfully watching your thoughts. You're mindfully watching your emotions. Look how I said watching your emotions, not being in your emotions. You're mindfully eating. You're mindfully speaking. You're mindfully aware of your language. You're watching all of that. If you're able to do that, then yeah, you may miss the first one. As soon as an unserving thought comes to mind, right away you can pattern interrupt. Melody says, start to recognize those negative thoughts and step stop them in their tracks. You got it. Bingo. It takes a lot of work to change these patterns. It does. And it takes time. And it takes time. And it's so interesting when we talk about how things take time because we have been conditioned for things to be so fast. We've been conditioned for things to be so fast. And that's the difference when a person joins Make Peace with Food compared to a weight loss program. By the way, Make Peace with Food is not a weight loss program. It's a whole mind and nervous system and emotional regulation program. And the side effect of that will be weight release. But it's not a weight loss program. And why I say this is because weight loss programs, if you know, what are they always promising? What are they always promising? Quick results? Rapid weight loss? I mean, at the cash of any grocery store, just stand in front of the magazines and just read the headlines. Lose 30 pounds in 21 days. How? Am I supposed to cut off my arm? Like what? How do I do that? How do I lose 30 pounds in 21? So we start to think that that's normal. What do you mean lose 30 pounds in 21 days? Look, or lose a promise. There's a promise in the first month you're going to lose 20 pounds. How can that be for everybody? What do you mean? Everyone's going to lose 20 pounds in the first month of doing something? And so we've been conditioned when it comes to our health, when it comes to our weight loss, when it comes to our fitness, that number one, we should be able to do it on our own. We should be able to figure it out on our own. And number two, it should be freaking fast. Like as soon as you start, you will have a 6-pack in like 5.5 days. And you'll be able to deadlift a bus in about a week and a half. That's the promise. Right? And this is the issue. This is the issue. And I see Elisa saying patience is so hard. And Susan saying, I totally agree. Yeah. So then what happens? What happens when I do start working on my health and it's not taking me 6.5 days to see my abs? And I still can't deadlift a bus after a couple weeks. I'm like, oh my God, I'm broken. I'm such a loser. This is never going to work for me. I'm such a failure. Affirmations, 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 affirmations. And then we give up. Elisa, bingo. Yes, then we give up. Right. And Melody, I mean, she knows she's in the Make Peace with Food program, and we've had these conversations so many times, and she is living proof. Mrs. Melody over here on mute. Slow and steady wins the race. Slow and steady wins the race. Why does slow and steady wins the race? Because you're doing a whole person transformation. I don't just want to be my old self who's struggling to release 30 pounds. I want to be that person who is 30 pounds lighter, period. I mean, she's got a very different lifestyle. That person who's 30 pounds lighter has a very different lifestyle and mindset and things on her mind in general than that person who is struggling to release the 30 pounds. Who's just focused on releasing 30 pounds. Those are two different people living two different lifestyles, thinking very, very differently. Different sets of emotional regulation. One binge eats and emotionally eats, the other one doesn't. One snacks at night, the other one doesn't. One tends to berate herself, the other one doesn't. One is thinking about enjoying nature and going out. And I mean, if you are a person who's 30 pounds lighter, why would you need to jump on the scale to always check? If you were a person who's 30 pounds lighter, why are you always worried about your weight? You're not, are you? It's like, I brush my teeth every day. Why am I worried that I'm not brushing my teeth? You see, once something becomes a part of who you are, you're not stressing about it anymore. It's not a problem that you have anymore. A person who's struggling to release 30 pounds is weighing herself or himself every single day, is always fearful of food, is always fearful of weight gain, is always trying to diet. gaining weight, releasing weight, gaining weight, releasing weight. That's a different person than the person who's 30 pounds lighter, who has a very different lifestyle, who doesn't jump on the scale every day because they're worried that they put on weight from what they ate the day before or all week. Why is that? Because they don't even consume these things. They don't even overeat. They don't nighttime snack, for example. They have a very different lifestyle. That's not a thing that they're concerned about. Just like a person who is stressed about finances, unable to make bill payments every month. They have a different level of fear and worries than a person who's able to comfortably pay their bills or are in financial freedom. They live two different lifestyles. And it's the same thing. It's the same thing when it comes to your health. And so the issue with diet culture and our society in general is that we're told that things should be instant and fast. I mean, I don't know about you, but if somebody says, hey, Cher, give me $5,000 and by the end of the week, it's going to be $100,000. That's going to be the ROI. I don't know. What would you guys like if somebody said this to you? Like, wait a minute, I give you 5,000 and how much percent growth is that? You're telling me that if I invest 5,000 by next Sunday, I'm going to have 100,000? That's like a scam. You would never trust that person. You would never say yes to that investment. That's like red flag, sirens, alarms going off. And yet, when it comes to your health, when it comes to weight loss, we believe that. Take this injection, or take this medication, or have this surgery, and here's what's going to happen. And I'm saying this because I work with so many people who've gone on these medications that are the big buzz right now, and who've had the weight loss surgery and the gastric bypass, and have gone through all of that just to come back to the exact same issue. And now with complications. And so you have an option. You can either work on the root cause of what's going on, or you can, again, put in $5,000 thinking you're going to get back 100,000. Yeah, Elisa, you'd laugh, right? If somebody said that to you. Exactly. So I'm going to pause here a moment. We've got about 20 minutes left, and I want to hear your questions. I want maybe for you guys to participate in the conversation, maybe to unmute yourselves a little bit. What are you thinking about this conversation today? Are there any aha moments? Anything you want to share or add? Any experiences that you've gone through that are in alignment of today's conversation? Patience is so hard. Yeah, Lisa. Patience is so hard. And it's also not. We're just conditioned, we're taught to fill every single moment of our day with something, to stay busy, to keep busy, because productivity equals success and joy. If you're productive, if you work hard, if you make a lot of money, if you buy your big house, if you fulfill the American dream, you'll be happy. You'll be happy. Yeah, and time will pass anyway. Right? Time is going to pass anyway. And I do this now. Like I have moments where I don't have my phone with me. Like I will go about my day, I'll do my whole day of errands and I'll leave my phone at home purposely. Like there's like a little panic there, I have to admit, on those days. Like at first, because I'm like, what if my kids have to reach me? What if this happens? What if there's a fire? What if I need to Google something? What if I don't know where to go? What if, and we've become so reliant and dependent on our phones, on our devices. I mean, even when you're stopping at a light, like, come on, admit it. I will not believe you if you say you don't do this. But even when you're at a light, like you find a reason to like have to look through WhatsApp or your messages or your emails, or like it's nuts. We can't even stand still for 40 seconds at a light because it's like it feels like it's forever. It feels like it's hours. And so everything is fast. Our food is fast. Our food is cheap, and our food is massive amounts. So we want fast, we want cheap, and we want a lot. A lot. And everything else, like unless it's free and it's a lot and it's fast, then there's something wrong with it. Things should be free. Things should be fast, and things should be in massive quantities. And again, this is us not feeling safe. This is us not feeling safe. I mean, as society as a whole, this is there that's a lot of fear behind all these things. It should be fast because we can't wait, because something bad's going to happen if we wait. It's a waste of time. And it should be cheap or free because something bad's going to happen if I spend money on it. And it's also my right for things to be free. It's also, this is what I'm entitled to, right? Again, very fear-based. And then it has to be a lot. And what happens? Again, it's fear-based. It's that fear of not having enough. So fear of things not happening fast enough, fear of missing out on something, fear of parting with what we've earned, maybe for other beliefs. And it's just super interesting because that energy is fear. And tomorrow I'm going to be doing an inner child healing with you. And we're going to get to the root of some of these fears. Yeah, Lisa says FOMO is so big. FOMO is so big. It's so big. Yeah, there's this constant fear of missing out. Why is that? Because we're told that our joy and our happiness is conditional. When you make a lot of money, then you'll be happy. When you get married, then you'll be happy. When you buy your house, then you'll be happy. When you lose those 50 pounds, then you'll be happy. When you have kids, then you'll be happy. When you do this, then you'll be happy. When you travel, then you'll be happy. When you take your vacation, everything that will bring us joy in our life, we are told is conditional. Like we can't be happy unless all of these conditions are met, or all of these things are things that we own and we have. And so, yes, Elisa, spot on. We're always living in FOMO. What if I miss my chance to be happy? And I see this, and I see this a lot. I work with a lot of people who have had this expectations throughout their whole life. Like by the time I'm 35, I should have already been this, 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 this. By the time I'm 40, I should have already had that. By the time I'm this, I should have already been retired. By the time I was this, I should have this, this, this happened. My kid should have been that, that, that. I should have been this, this, this in my career. I always thought I should have had this and that. I didn't expect to be divorced and da. And so where's my nervous system? Right? My nervous system was programmed to feel happy and to have joy when all of these things happened. But these things didn't happen. No wonder why I have constant fear. No wonder why I have constant fear of not enough. I'm supposed to be small my whole life, or I'm supposed to easily lose weight, or I'm supposed to make this much money, or I'm supposed to have this type of relationship and not be single. I'm supposed to have all these things. And so this goes against what I had programmed, what I had heard, all the unconscious beliefs that I have heard my whole life. No wonder why I always feel like I'm not enough and I'm a failure. And I have a lot of anxiety and I have a lot of sadness and I have a lot of depression and I have a lot of fear. I'm going to fail. I'm failing at life. And so, again, I want to thank you for spending Sunday with me here today. And it really, really means a lot to me that you all, every single one of you, took the time here to be here in person, to be engaging with me, to share a cup of tea with me, to watch the replay on Facebook, or to watch the replay on the replay page. It really, really is so meaningful to me that I get to do this with you all week and I get to spend this time with you this week. So I want to thank you again for your presence here today. And I look forward to continuing this conversation tomorrow. Have a good rest of your day. Bye.